Today we're going to see if it's really possible to make a living from cryptocurrencies in 2025, since that's a question many of you have, or you're looking to get started in the world of cryptocurrencies. But instead of seeing it as an investment, as savings, as something long-term that can gradually increase your income, many of you want to jump right in and start living off cryptocurrencies, quit your job, leave everything behind, and dedicate yourselves to this. And the quick answer to the question, can you make a living from cryptocurrencies in 2025? If you have no knowledge and you're just starting from scratch, the answer is no, you can make a living from it. Today, I'm going to speak to you here from my own experience. After all, I'm someone who has been in the world of cryptocurrencies for 11 years. Possibly here on social media, I am the one who has been in the cryptocurrency sector the longest, since many have only been around for 5 years, 8 years, maybe the most I've seen is 3 years. Almost everyone started recently in this last cycle. They haven't even been through a full cycle. I can tell you that I've been in this for 11 years, from February 2014 up to today, doing business in the cryptocurrency sector. So I've been very involved. And as of today, well, I can say that one of my sources of income is cryptocurrencies. And I can honestly say that I can live off cryptocurrencies or could maintain my lifestyle with cryptocurrencies. But this is not a reality for everyone. Just as I always explain things that everyone can do, this the idea of living off cryptocurrencies from one day to the next is not realistic. You can't do it. In the end, if someone does manage it, it would be a prodigy, right? It's like when a prodigy is born with some special talent in the world, right? Along comes a Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world, right? You say, wow, he's a prodigy was born, or the strongest man in the world is a prodigy. But that's not normal. It's not something that everyone is capable of. And nowadays, it's become trendy. Excuse my voice. Nowadays, it's become trendy for all sorts of cryptocurrency gurus to pop up online, promising you the world, telling you that you're all going to get rich, that if you start today, by tomorrow, you'll already have a fortune. And in the end, you have to look a little deeper at what's really behind all this, right? These are very aggressive channels that have thousands and thousands of views, thousands and thousands of followers. And in the end, what they do is try to sell you a subscription, whether it's to a course, an academy, or a group where you pay a monthly membership fee, an annual membership fee, or make a one-time payment of thousands of euros, right? That's basically the idea. And in the end, that's how they make their living. For example, you can go to a YouTube channel related to the world of cryptocurrencies and see a guy who averages 50,000 views. Every time he uploads a video about anything, there are 50,000 people who have watched that video. That person thinks, wow, statistically, even if just 1% of those people buy my academy, buy my membership, or buy my course, let's say each of them would spend an average of $1,000 or 1,000 euros. And you say, wow, so out of 50,000 people who watch my course, my videos, if just 500 buy it, well, 500 times 1,000, that's 500,000, €500,000 or dollars that go straight into their pocket. And that's their business, because in reality, you never actually see them trading. They don't know how to trade. They tell you, yes, the market is going to go up, the market is going to go down, this is the latest news or whatever else, because they've read it in some news article, and that's it. They just read it out loud, they communicate it very well, but in reality, no one has ever actually seen them trade. No one has seen them say, wow, with their own trading strategy, this person is profitable, with their own trading, this person makes money, with their own trading, they can make a living. In the end, they typically end up making a living from commissions, courses, memberships, things like that, but they don't publicly show something like, hey, look, I invested this amount of money, and you can see over time how I turned it into this other amount of money. This is something they are never going to show you, nor will you ever see it. Just like here on the channel, we've actually done it. We've carried out swing trading using ranges, showing you we buy here, sell here, leverage by 10, and double our capital if it goes up 10%. From here to here, times 10, that's 100%. We've shown you how, with long-term trades, we've multiplied our investment by 100 in Solana in less than a year, and we've multiplied by 100 in Bitcoin in a year and 10 months. We've also shown you how we do long-term trades with the challenge of turning $10,000 into $1 million, and so far, well, a little over a year has passed, and we've turned it into 100,000. We haven't reached 1 million yet, but the trades are still open and we can try to reach that figure. But for now, at least 60,000, which we've already cashed out and executed, and 40,000 in profits that are still open and ongoing are there. But at the very least, we show you how this works, right? Also, a few years ago, I taught you a lot about DeFi, about how to provide liquidity to a pool with 2 coins, generate fees, earn tokens from that decentralized exchange, and then swap them back for UST or USDC or some trusted coin to make the snowball even bigger. I've taught you how to do crypto lending, where you lend your Bitcoins in a smart contract and you earn, well, fees, returns, interest for lending those Bitcoins. I've taught you how to do spot trading. I've taught you how to do futures trading. We have a trading academy with a professional trader every day that has been running for 2.5 years, completely free for all of you, where you have been learning and training for 2.5 years, where we are hundreds of students, 100% free. You are never charged anything to be in there. But we really teach you how to trade. We have shown you how, with trading bots on Bitget, the green bots, which we have been using for over 2 years now, we have been generating income automatically, averaging about 1% daily, with some days earning much more, some days earning much less, or even losing, but the average is positive and around 1% daily. With compound growth over more than 2 years, you've already seen that the multiplier we've been able to achieve has been very large. As of today, the amounts generated are already large enough to be able to live off cryptocurrencies. Because in the end, if you're someone who says, damn, I'm going to open a long position, I'm going to do swing trading, which are trades that last days or weeks within a price range. For example, look, I'm going to share my screen with you. We're here on Bitcoin. Detected price range would be, for example, here between $90,000 and $110,000. What would a swing trading operation be? Well, when Bitcoin approaches the lower part of the channel here, around the 90,000 zone, close to it, I don't mean exactly 90,000, it could be between 90 and 95,000 below the 200 period moving average, which would be this here. We open a position with $10,000, $10,000 leveraged by 10 with the goal of trying to get a return up to the maximum. Imagine that we open, just as an example, at 93,000 and we try to aim for 110,000, which is where the resistance is. But we don't go for 110,000. We say we've gotten a good enough price to make a 10% profit. We want 10%. We're not going for more, just 10%. We open at 93 and 10% would be at 103. $103, $103,000. That is just by Bitcoin going from $103,000 to $103,000, it has increased by 10%. We have leveraged 10 times, which means that 10% profit would actually be 10 times more. It would be 100%. We invested $10,000 in that trade and Bitcoin went up 10%, which in spot, but leverage 10 times would be 100%. So we have made another $10,000 in profit from a single trade that may have taken just a few days or weeks. But what do I mean by this? What I mean is that in this case, a single trade like this that makes you $10,000, well, if you do a few of these, you're earning amounts of money large enough to be able to say, hey, I can live off trading, I can live off cryptocurrencies, I can live off what I'm generating, because I don't know, just imagine, right? You could say, look, I have coins in staking that are generating X amount of money for me annually. Imagine they're generating for me, I don't know, between 5 and 10% annually in returns just from staking coins like Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, Cardano, Polkadot. These are coins where through staking, you can get an average return of around 5 to 10% per year. Then you say, look, on top of that, we're in a bull market and all the coins I've been buying, or most of them, have increased in value. Bitcoin has gone up to $110,000. Solana has reached its all-time highs again. The rest of the altcoins, well, they're kind of dead, but Ripple has also delivered a good return. Damn, in spot, I've made a good profit. The value of my coins has increased a lot. It's another way to make money. If you really have large amounts of crypto in this regard, then the returns can be even greater. Then, today, trading in spot, well look, a coin went up 10%, and that's a 10% gain you take little by little and without any kind of risk, right? Because in the end, spot doesn't carry as much risk as futures, obviously you earn much less. Then you say, look, with operations in futures leveraged, as I just showed you, we've multiplied our investment by 100. Well, not by 100. We've made 100% on our investment, which means we've doubled it. Each operation, we double it. If we put in 10,000 for each operation, then every time, whenever any of these assets goes up by 10%, we pocket another 10,000. I don't know. And this month, I made 3 trades in the whole month. 3 trades in the whole month, you don't need more than that. How much do those 3 trades generate? Well, we've got $30,000. Hey, it's a bitch, isn't it? I've made $30,000 in 3 leverage trades, 10 times leverage on Bitcoin, or 2 on Bitcoin and 1 on Ethereum, for example. At that point, you can already afford to live off of it. Now, besides that, I don't know, I have some Bitcoins in a lending contract where, well, they're generating me an average of, I don't know, I'm making this up, about 3% a year. And you say, wow, look, that's 2 Bitcoins. I'm making this up at 3% a year. Well, look, right now that Bitcoin is above $100,000, that's already 6,000 euros or dollars coming in per year just for having those Bitcoins locked up there and generating a return for you. Then you say, look, I have liquidity pools, assets where I have, well, USDC or USDT together with coins like, I don't know, like Wrap Bitcoin or like Ethereum or like Cardano or like Solana or any other coin that, look, they're generating commissions for me every time someone swaps one of these coins, every time someone exchanges USDT for Solana. Just as an example, a swap is made and you earn a commission for having provided liquidity. And in the end, you say, wow, when you add all this up, you really can live off cryptocurrencies and be making money from crypto. But to reach this level, first you need to have developed a skill, have knowledge about the sector, and have generated a significant amount of money in order to be able to live off cryptocurrencies. So it's not realistic to tell people that you can live off cryptocurrencies overnight. I'm being very clear about this here. I'm saying cryptocurrencies, and right now, at the point where we are, any one of you could have the opportunity to make a good amount of money. To say, hey, from now until November, December, which we estimate could be the peak of the bull run, we can generate a good amount of money. That is, we could multiply our money by 10 in a fairly conservative way if everything really goes as it should. In other words, if really, I don't know, some altcoins double from their current price. For example, imagine Polkadot going from $4 to $8. Is that realistic? It is realistic, yes. What happens if you open a long position on Polkadot at $4 with 10 times leverage and sell it when it reaches 8? What happened? Well, you've literally multiplied your investment by 10 If you invested, let's say, $3,000 in a long position on Polkadot for the long term from now until the end of the year, and Polkadot simply went from $4 to $8, damn, you've multiplied it by 10. How much did you invest? 3,000. 3,000 times 10, 30,000. Damn, is it easy to achieve? It's relatively easy. Obviously, it carries its risks, right? There could be a crash, everything could go to hell and fall apart. But hey, what's more likely? That Polkadot goes up to $8, or that Polkadot drops from $4 to $2 and you get liquidated? Both scenarios are possible, but right now it's more likely that Polkadot will reach $8 during the year than that Polkadot will drop to $2. And I'm just using Polkadot as an example here, right? Because it's a very clear example of how an asset that can easily double from $4 to $8, if you've made a good, long, well-positioned, with proper coverage, and while hedge can give you a tenfold return by the end of the year, that's a tenfold return. How much have you risked? Well, I've risked 3,000 euros, $3,000. And how much can you earn? 30,000. Hey, the balance is worth it, right? The balance tips in your favor, that's realistic. But those are moves that can make you a lot of money between now and the end of the year. Then, when the year ends, what happens? A crypto winter begins. So how are you going to keep living off cryptocurrencies? If not everything is going to go up anymore. No, because the market moves in cycles. There's a bull year, a bear year, a sideways year, and a recovery year. The bull year is now, so you have to take advantage of it now. Afterwards, it won't be so easy to make money. And especially in a bear market, it's not that easy to make money. It's much harder, it's more complicated. And besides, I don't like to take that much of a gamble in a bear market, because despite being a natural correction, it's unnatural or riskier to bet against an emerging market. A market that's booming, that's in full development, that's constantly growing, to bet against it, I personally wouldn't do that. Personally, I wouldn't open shorts. At most, I would open one during a crypto winter, a short one, well protected, without expecting much, where I would get out as quickly as possible. Why? Because you're going against something that's in full growth. It's like saying, damn, who would you bet on first, right? What are you going to die for? On a baby who is constantly growing and developing, or on an elderly person who has less life ahead of them? But if I have to bet against one of the two, who am I going to bet against? I'm going to bet against the elderly person who has less life left. Because really, well, there's a higher probability that things will go downhill for them, rather than for a baby who is in the middle of developing, who still has to grow, who has to get bigger, and who has their whole life ahead of them. I'm not going to bet against a baby. How could I bet against something that is constantly growing? I mean, are we crazy? There might be years when the baby doesn't grow much. Like, let's say this year they grew just 1 centimeter. And then another years when you say, wow, they've had a growth spurt. They've shot up, 15 centimeters. That spurt, or they've entered adolescence and boom, and they've had an incredible growth spurt, or they've become an adult and gotten huge, right? So to speak. So you're not going to go against a baby or a child who is growing. Well, the same thing happens with Bitcoin. You're not going to go against an emerging market that is constantly growing. Even though you know that its crypto winters will come and its corrections will happen, I take advantage of crypto winters to buy at a lower price, to try with each correction to pick up a little more, and when I think it's at its lowest point, to go in strong, like I showed you here. But here, I really have shown you visually. I've shown you everything, right? Like when Bitcoin was below $20,000, between 15,500 and 20,000, I told you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to buy 50% of my liquidity in Bitcoin. You all call me crazy. But what happened? What happened sometime later? Now we have Bitcoin at $110,000. So I wasn't that crazy, was I? When I bought Bitcoin at $17,000, I wasn't that crazy. Because everything I bought there in spot has appreciated a lot. The long positions I opened at 17,500 also multiplied by a lot. And we've seen all of this here live in the videos constantly, every week and every month. So from my real experience here, I can tell you, living off cryptocurrencies without assets today is not realistic. Over time, yes, because over time, as I've told you many times, in the end, it's a sector where you learn to develop a skill that gives you freedom. And in the end, it's a skill that's like a superpower. Because if you have knowledge about investments, trading, and cryptocurrencies, you wake up in the morning, sit here at your computer, open your screen, and from your exchange, with a little bit of money, a good strategy, and your knowledge, you can start making money, earning money. And you don't even need to dedicate large amounts of time to trading. To learning, guys, to learning, the more time you dedicate to learning, to nourishing yourself, to acquiring that knowledge, the better. But for trading itself, it's not necessary, as I mentioned, right? You can do 3 longs a month. In this case, if I put 10,000 into each long, the asset goes up by 10% and I double it, I make 10, 10, 10, 30,000 straight to the piggy bank, to your pocket. You can relax, right? You say, damn, this month, just from 3 leverage trading operations, I made 30,000 euros or $30,000. With that alone, you get through the month. It covers your expenses, lets you save, lets you invest. It gives you a lot of options. And really, you're not saying, damn, I'm there 8 hours every day from sunrise to sunset, grinding away, pushing myself, sticking to a schedule, having to give explanations, unable to take vacations, having to ask for permission, even just to go to the bathroom, to take a dump, or to pee. In other words, it's a superpower that you can develop, yes, but in a realistic way. And you don't need to spend money on courses or on memberships or on anything. All the knowledge that's out there, you can find for free. And even more so nowadays, years ago, there wasn't so much information about the sector, but today you can find everything. And on top of that, with artificial intelligence, with ChatGPT, you can ask ChatGPT and it will answer everything. It can break down everything you need to know, to learn. It can tell you everything. Nowadays, it's easier than ever, folks. Anyone who doesn't learn these kind of things is simply because they don't want to. But the most important thing of all is that you dedicate time to it. That's what most of you are the laziest about. You'd rather risk money that you've worked hard to earn. You'd rather risk it without knowledge than, sacrifice a few years of your life to learn, to practice, to develop yourselves so that later you can invest with knowledge. You prefer to invest out of ignorance, but when it comes to investing time to gain knowledge and then investing without knowledge, you don't want to do it. And that's really what makes human beings so ridiculous, isn't it, so to speak? In many ways, you think, damn, things are actually much simpler than they seem, but we make them complicated. We make things complicated by looking for problems where there aren't any. We make things complicated by doing things wrong when we could do them right, when in reality life is much simpler. One thing I've learned is to do things in the simplest way possible. Why? Because in the end, if you can do something in an hour, why would you do it in 4? To reach the same goal, if you start from this point and have to get to this point, and you can do it in either 1 hour or 4 hours, then doing it in 4 hours is wasting 3 hours of your life when you could do it in one and have 3 left over to do other things. In the end, you have to simplify time and this whole kind of mindset, because ultimately, whether you like it or not, and some of you may think it's silly, while others will agree with me, having your head screwed on, right? And having a solid grasp of the concepts is fundamental to achieving success in your professional life, in any field. From making money, to being strong and healthy, to having good relationships, anything at all. It requires having your head screwed on right. Look, one of the books I first read 15 years ago, and that I've reread on average once every 2 years, because it's a book that no matter how many times you read it, if a couple of years go by and you've forgotten something, boom, you read it again and it reminds you, it refreshes your memory, but most importantly, it helps you get your head straight. I've already read that book 7 times throughout my life. It's this one right here. I've recommended it to you many times on the channel. This one here, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book really explains the basic concepts you need to have in your mind in order to achieve anything you set out to do in life. Anything, in any area. It helps you get your head straight. It helps you truly see that everything is much simpler than it seems. It helps you realize that achieving success, whatever success means to you, since for each person it's something different. Achieving success, gaining financial freedom, becoming rich, whatever you want, depends solely on you, on no one else but you. You are the pilot of your life, the one who controls your life. Like when I say, now I move this arm, who am I giving the order to? My brain gives the order to my arm to move, right? No one else came to tell me to do it, right? Has anyone ever come to tell you, hey, go to the bathroom and squeeze your butt to poop? Right? No one tells you, hey, when you have to go from one place to another, you have to move your legs, do they? No one tells you that, right? You tell yourself, or you just do it naturally. Well, what this book helps you do is to acquire a certain knowledge so that naturally you have it so internalized and assimilated that you can turn it into a habit to achieve the goals you want. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I recommend that you read it. You can buy it at any bookstore, on Amazon, or whatever you like. Even if you're lazy, because I know many of you are lazy, you say, hey David, I don't like reading. You should read, but if you don't like reading, there's the audiobook. You can find the audiobook on Spotify. It's also available as an audiobook on YouTube. Listen to it, but above all, make sure you acquire that knowledge. And listening to the audiobook doesn't mean I just listen to it once in the background and don't retain any of the concepts. No, if you're not going to read it and you're only going to listen to it, at least pay close attention or listen to it several times, play it once a day until it sticks, or listen to it very attentively while taking notes. But if you manage to acquire the knowledge contained in this book, everything will become much easier. If you manage to internalize the basic concepts from Think and Grow Rich, everything else is just a matter of time. But that's it. Dedicate time, pay attention, invest in yourselves. Look, once when I was young, by young, I mean when I was 18 years old, someone told me a phrase: to make money in life, you have to learn what I'm about to tell you. They told me, empty your pocket into your mind, and your mind will fill your pocket. Remember that. Empty your pocket into your mind, and your mind will fill your pocket. What does this mean? It means that the more you learn and the smarter you become, the more capable you'll be of being creative enough to generate money. If instead of investing in yourself, investing in learning, in feeding your mind with knowledge and so on, you're wasting your damn time playing video games all day in your free time, watching Love Island, gossip magazines, or caring about who cheated on whom and who hooked up with whoever, which doesn't matter to you at all, you know? Why the hell do you care if two famous people you don't even know have cheated on each other or hooked up? I mean, seriously, why the hell does that matter to you? It doesn't matter to you or to anyone else. But still, you're spending your free time consuming that crap. It's like, damn, I don't know, Aitana is with Complex, right? Now it's everywhere. Aitana the singer is with Complex, the YouTuber. It's like, great, congratulations, everyone knows it. But what the hell is that information going to do for your life? How is that information going to bring you any closer to your goals? But still, you want to know everything, about why they're together, how it happened, what the story behind it is, everything. You get interested, right? You show an interest in that crap. But in yourself, you don't show any interest in yourself. This applies to everything in the end. This also applies even to relationships. Is like, if you don't show interest in yourself, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't love yourself, how can you expect to ask others, I want you to love me, I want you to be interested in me, I want you to notice me, I want you to whatever? No. It's like, if you don't value yourself or spend time on yourself, why the hell would you ask someone else to value you, to spend time on you, to love you, to admire you? You have to admire yourself, love yourself, trust yourself. And when you have focus on yourself, others will start to focus on you too. In the end, people admire those who have achieved things. When I say things, I don't mean material things. People who have managed to develop self-esteem and self-confidence and security in themselves, and you can see it. You can tell people like to be around those who are self-assured. They don't like to be around someone who is insecure, fearful, stressful, or unhinged. No, no. People like to be around those who are self-assured, who give you a sense of peace and calm. When you say, when I'm near this person, they give me peace. They make me feel like everything is going to be okay. You prefer that, right? Rather than being around someone where you think, man, this person makes me feel insecure, or someone you just can't quite see as being completely okay. You think, this person, there's something about them I don't like, You don't know what it is. Or someone who lies more than they talk. One of the phrases from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is that you should never try to build anything on a lie, because anything built on a lie cannot last over time, which in the end is as true as it gets. If you build something based on lies, over time it will wobble and everything will collapse. You just can't. And in the end, just imagine wearing yourself out every single damn day just to keep up a lie. Imagine that, I don't know, you're spending all day talking to your family, friends, people, and you're selling them a story, you're deceiving them. And of course, you've built yourself a house of cards where everything is a lie, and you can't keep it up over time. There comes a point when you get caught, when people say, damn, this person is really dishonest. And in the end, everything falls apart for you. And you have to keep racking your damn brain, thinking up lies like, damn, what if they catch me with this lie or that one or whatever? And you have to keep stressing yourself out, making things complicated just to keep up with those lies. Well, that's something that makes you waste your time. Instead of spending that time maintaining a house of cards built on lies, use that time to build something real, right? There are a lot of people out there in the world. You see this a lot nowadays, also on YouTube, people who try to pretend to be something they're not. People who are literally broke and go around acting like millionaires, saying, wow, look, I have a Ferrari here, when maybe you just rented it, walked by and took a picture. Mansions, luxury trips, this and that and so on. And they're completely drowning themselves by foolishly spending their money just to keep up a crappy lie, so that people will think that person is important or successful, when in reality they're just losers who lie. And the little money they have, they spend it on pretending. When people couldn't care less, I mean, if someone comes up to me and says, I've got a Ferrari, I've got a mansion, I've got this, I've got that, I honestly don't care. I really don't care. Literally. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. You're not going to impress me. You're not going to earn my trust or anything just by telling me what you have. In fact, I'm more likely to trust someone who has nothing than someone who comes bragging about everything they own. For example, that's something I would never do. And in many areas, I actually have more than a lot of the people who come to me bragging about what they have. And yet I don't say anything. I just say, oh, that's awesome. I'm really glad you have so much. You're better than me. Congratulations, congratulations. But that's not something that should make you trust that person more. On the contrary, if someone comes right in trying to sell you on, I have this, I have that, I'm successful, selling you a facade, you should automatically walk away. Because in the end, if someone tries to sell you on appearances, tries to win you over with the image they project, it means that inside there's nothing, it's all just a facade. And, well, there's not much more to say. I've already spent too much time on this video, so remember what I've told you. And today's recommendation, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Buy it and read it, and if not, then get the audiobook and listen to it all damn day until you memorize it. Sorry, I couldn't find the word. So there's not much more to say, ladies and gentlemen. If you liked the video and found it useful, I'd appreciate it if you hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share it. Follow me on my Instagram, Ohana Finanzas, and in the Telegram group, Ohana Finanzas Official, where I keep you updated on everything. And on Instagram, we have, well, exclusive content just for there. So with that, I'll say goodbye, a hug, and see you next time.